Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Englewood Cliffs Mayor and Council Caucus Meeting. Today is June 12, 2019, and it is 6:34 p.m. I call the meeting to order. Have a roll call, please.
Mayor Crandra,
Here.
Councilpersons Wu,
Here.
Song, Sabari, Park, Aversa,
Here.
O, Burberry, everyone's present, Mayor, Secretary, Clark, and
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you please read into the record the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
adequate notice of this meeting was given to the press and posted as required. The date and time of this meeting was legally given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. This notice is on file with the municipal clerk and posted on the bulletin board. Minutes of this meeting will be made available to the public upon the completion and typing of this reading by the mayor.
Thank you. We have a motion to go into closed session. All in favor?
That was the first step and move. Whereas the Mayor and Council of Borough of Englewood Cliffs has deemed it necessary to go into closed session to discuss certain confidential matters, whereas the minutes of the closed session will remain confidential as permitted under the Open Public Meetings Act, which shall be released when there is no further need for confidentiality as authorized by the county attorney. Now therefore be resolved that the Mayor and Council of Borough of Englewood Cliffs will go into closed session to follow the matters as permitted under the Open Public Meetings Act and JSA, Resolution 19-125. Pending litigation regarding Borough of Englewood Cliffs Affordable Housing, 800 Sylvan Avenue, Borough of Englewood Cliffs Mayor and Council Planning Board, 800 Sylvan Avenue versus the Planning Board, Daisy Gloria or Tejan Gloria versus Borough, Scenic Mall versus Choppy, Borough, Lieutenant Tracy Murphy, Captain Murphy, and Zone, Tax Appeal Command, L. Eastwood versus Borough of Englewood Cliffs, L. Eastwood versus Borough of Englewood Cliffs, Calvin Moore versus Borough of Englewood Cliffs, it's additional, Stephen Moore versus Borough of Englewood Cliffs, and M. O'Shea versus Borough of Englewood Cliffs, Gannon versus Borough of Englewood Cliffs, and personnel vacancy in the office of chief.
Thank you. Just as a matter of some housekeeping, for items 1, 2, and 3, for the record, I have not had an update, a substantive update since May 4th from any borough council or our COA subcommittee. So I am also eager to go into closed session to learn about all those happenings. And then on item number 14, I've also not been kept informed by the Public Safety Committee. The last things that I've asked for are that all personnel files be produced in closed session at this meeting, that we have an update on the investigations that Mark Ruderman stood in front of this audience several months ago regarding some disciplinary charges and other matters, and also regarding certain facts alleged regarding some of the applicants and pending litigations. Thank you. Hello, everyone. We're going to finish up our caucus meeting now. I apologize, we ran over time a bit, but we'll get back on track. What we're going to do now, have a motion to come out of close. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, can I have a motion to open to the public?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, so if there's anyone from the public who wishes to be heard, please raise your hand. I'll recognize you. Come up to the microphone here, state your name and address, and speak as to whatever you wish to speak about. And just so you know, as soon as we finish this caucus meeting, we will be opening up our regular meeting, and you'll have another opportunity at that meeting to also speak, if you wish. So you can either speak now, you can speak later, or you can speak at both if you wish. Yes. Not my rule, but the council's rule is 5 minutes to speak.
Lauren Eastwood, 4 Willow Drive. I'd like to address several things that are in the packet, which was made available when we came in the room, but wasn't on the website. Ordinance 2019-08. It appears that we are working towards having the weakest hiring standards for police officers in the state of New Jersey. You can be hired without any college education. Some is preferred, but you can be hired without any. Which is ridiculous. We're the second highest paid police department in the state of New Jersey, and we should have high hiring standards. We should be requiring a college degree. We also should be looking for bilingual officers, given our population. Instead, we seem to be looking for people who can breathe, and that's probably optional, too. The other thing is Ordinance 2019-09. Billboards. You're restricting political speech. That is subject to, according to the U.S. Supreme Court, strict scrutiny. You're limiting it based on the use of the property. There's a pile of U.S. Supreme Court decisions on the subject of restrictions of political signs. And it looks like nobody bothered to research them before you tried to put this ordinance in. It's almost certainly unconstitutional. And I, for one, will be calling the Freedom Foundation tomorrow morning about it, to see about challenging it. You guys ran on wanting to reduce litigation. It seems to me you should be researching it, because a basic Google search tells you how much law there is on this. It seems to me that this should be looked in before you put your political views and your desire to give yourselves a political advantage ahead of the law.
So on your first point, I agree with you. I would not change any of the hiring standards. We put those standards in place after I became mayor, and we would want to continue with those. It's the council that's requesting that change. On the billboard issue, let's ask Borough Council Joe Marinello for his opinion on that ordinance.
I wouldn't have put it through to you if I did, but it was unconstitutional.
So your opinion is that it's constitutional?
I believe that it's constitutional. Yes.
Okay.
Just to be clear, we're talking about billboards in front of people's homes, right?
What we're talking about
Right,
is
so the public understands what we're talking about.
it's
We're
a
trying to
9
read the
square
ordinance.
foot limit
Yeah,
on signs on people's residential property.
okay. So, you would like everyone in town to have a 9-foot sign in the front of their house, and think that's okay, that's what you want to, whether you're R or D, it's okay to stare across the street to your neighbor to see a huge sign of politics?
Is there anybody else wishing to be heard? Just raise your hand.
Long time.
Sorry. Okay. No one else? Okay, we could, yes.
It's going to be a big one here.
Yeah, I know, that's my notes.
For people standing in the back, there's chairs available up here. Feel free to come in whenever you want. Okay.
I'm Mary O'Shea, 12 Irving Avenue. A number of things. I'm going to try to go through them as quickly as I can. Oprah litigations. I have an Oprah suit against the town for not getting documents that I requested. But also, by going into e-courts, can read all the litigations, and I saw that Ms. Duffy was fined $1,000 for not complying, and I'd like to know if she paid the fine.
I don't think she has to answer that.
She doesn't have to answer it?
Litigation question.
Okay, well, all right, if she was assessed a fine, if she was assessed, which she was, she should pay it herself. It should not be reimbursed by the town, and it should not be paid by the town. Regarding the police chief, disciplinary charges were brought against Murphy, Hinkleman, and Regan during the end of 2018. when, in January, the attorney Ruderman stated that those were not proper, and it had to be an internal affairs investigation. Regan retired 6 days later. I want to know if the internal affairs investigation was conducted against those 4 officers. And if it was conducted, I want to know by whom, and if it was completed, and what the outcome was.
Let me ask the Public Safety Chairman, Councilman Aversa, to answer this.
The IA investigation was completed for a while.
And,
But it never came to us. We never get that information. You should know that you're counsel.
okay, well, some of those gentlemen are applying for the chief of police's position, so if you were reviewing the personnel files, you would see the internal affairs, I assume, and the results. You would not? Okay.
Well, I don't know if that's okay.
I don't-
Let me ask the Borough Council, is that
You were
okay?
in there just reviewing the files, why didn't you, he saw it.
No, I heard the procedure.
She asked her question was, were they in the file? They're not in the file, you can have Bill, you can have, they all sign their names, you're inside what?
Okay, well, I know when we looked at the files at the end of the year, there was no adverse comments in there. It was all good, better, and best. Okay? But that was with the knowledge that I didn't know if there had been an internal affairs. Now I know there had been an internal affairs.
You were a councilwoman when we looked at that. and
Yes.
most people guys are involved.
No, but I'm just saying, it's only good, it's like a school report, you know, you get a gold star, 2 gold stars, 3 gold stars. That's all that it is. I'm not saying whose is what, but there's never nothing negative, okay? Also, right now, when you're choosing a chief, I would hope that there will not be political payback for the police officers helping with the election of Democrats for the past 2 years. Okay? And when you do pick a chief, the contract, which it says in there you're going to choose it tonight, the contract, when you hire him, you shouldn't discuss the contract after you hire him. You should discuss the contract before you hire him, before you select him, to see if you agree on his salary. And for many years, we were under the misconception that the chief had to be 8% higher than the captain, and that's not a rule. All it has to be is the chief has to be paid more than the captain, and it can be $1 more. So I hope you keep those things in your mind when you set the salary for the chief, whoever it may be. Okay? And also, you had Murphy and Hinkleman with the disciplinary actions, and I would not like to see officers that had bad behavior lead our police department. We need somebody that's completely above board of highest morals and disposition. Okay, Tracy, McDermott, Murphy are being sued for an alleged conspiracy, and that's a trait we don't want in a chief. Also, speaking of tax appeals, at the last council meeting, when you went over the budget, sometimes I'm not sure if I hear correctly, but I thought I wrote down CNBC we're looking at a $3 million tax appeal from CNBC. Is that correct? Is that correct?
No,
That was wrong? That wasn't said?
that's incorrect.
Okay.
That's the wrong thing.
That wasn't MSNBC, CNBC? I don't know, it's the same thing to me. Who? Oh, okay, all right, because I was wondering if it was 2 now, 3 million and 3 million.
No.
Okay, and how are we going to pay that?
Would you like to,
I'd like to know how you're going to pay it in 120 days.
Mary, would you like to continue with the regular meeting? Because we're going to get another chance to speak. You'll get a lot of people.
All right.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to be heard?
Maria Valari, 45 Jane Drive.
obviously I wasn't here for the caucus meeting and I haven't even looked at the agenda, but hearing that you are thinking of lowering the standards for hiring a police officer really upsets me. I think everyone today needs a college degree. I don't care what job you're applying for, especially something as sensitive as policemen. It really scares me that you just want to lower standards on police. And again, it worries me about why you are so lax and kind of free when it comes to police. It seems like, you're going to do whatever you can to appease the police. And I have nothing against police. They protect us. They come when we call. I mean, it just makes me a little nervous that it seems that the Democrats and police are so tight. And as a Republican, it kind of makes me feel uncomfortable. The other thing I want to say is that billboards, I'm sorry, but billboards are billboards. They come down after the election. They're not up for the rest of the year. And if somebody wants to express themselves politically, just like you have done, and the police has done for you, I think everybody else has a right to do that. Thank you. And it is my property, and I pay taxes on it, and if I choose to put a board, I should have the ability to put a board.
Anyone else?
Carol McMorrow, 489 Summit Street, and I'm not going to hit my timer until you make the announcement. Is anything being added to the agenda before we start?
No.
Then I will hit start. Your last resolution doesn't have the name of the police chief, so if you came out of the room, if we want to speak on it, you need to announce what the name is so that we can speak on whatever the name is that you're adding. So are you going to be announcing that now? Okay, and then we're going to be able to speak.
Well,
I'm hitting my stop. I'm stopping.
all right, so, I throw this out to council. Once the name is proposed, can we reopen to the public later?
But you have to be able to speak on it.
All right, so we'll propose it before we open to the public.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to put that second, okay. Just a couple of items, I'll go through it quickly. As for the billboards, I think it's highly inappropriate, I think it is unconstitutional, Mr. Marinello, and considering the amount of Oprah suits that you've been losing, I don't know that you, should just be so carefree in your ruling, and I would like to know if you gave it to everybody in writing, number one. Number two, Mr. Aversa is running for mayor. He owns a commercial property. I mean, this is so outrageous that you're going to allow political signs on commercial properties? Am I reading this right? But not on residential?
You already allowed them on commercial properties.
But wait, you're restricting the size on residential properties, but he can put a sign as big as he wants, and so the mayor can't,
Hey, do anything there?
and he's, okay, how is that allowed? And how is that not unconstitutional? You'll deal with that when you go ahead and pass it, and you've got an ethics issue because you were involved in this, and you shouldn't be, you own a commercial property, that's number one. Number two, I gotta tell you, you guys ran, I don't make up anything, you guys ran on transparency. And I gotta tell you, I don't know why I never thought of this earlier, but I went on e-courts, and I looked up affordable housing. Affordable housing, docket number 6119-15. And I'd like to know, we're now, what is today, June 12th? Why haven't you given one update on affordable housing on all these papers that I printed out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to this public about what's going on? Why didn't you tell anyone that you signed an MOU? Why didn't you tell anyone that you had Jeff Serenian, excuse me, why didn't you tell anybody in this public that you had Jeff Serenian change this agreement so that the Mount Laurel Subcommittee can bind the borough of Englewood Cliffs? I have never heard of a subcommittee binding a borough. That's outrageous. Excuse me, don't interrupt me on my time.
I was,
You're going on a rant, and nothing is binding.
She can rant if she wants.
I'm not ranting,
Things
miss.
that you have no idea about.
That's fine. Let her finish.
No, he's already interrupted me. She's already, okay, excuse me. You can't bind a this isn't funny, Tony. Okay, you know, it's not funny. You flip with the wind.
Tell you the truth.
Here we go again.
I just flip, when he turns around,
No, it's already another 20 seconds.
Raise your hand.
It's 40 seconds. Okay, all right. Here's Jeff Serenian. Your Honor, on behalf of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs, I request that Your Honor make a slight change to paragraph 3 to reword it to say, instead of Borough of Englewood Cliffs, Mount Laurel Subcommittee of Borough of Englewood Cliffs. The Mount Laurel Subcommittee, ladies and gentlemen, are made up of 3 individuals. The Borough of Englewood Cliffs governing body is 6 individuals and a mayor. So they are allowing 3 individuals to do whatever they want to do on behalf of everybody. And apparently, they entered into an MOU on April 19th and didn't tell anybody. So none of us know what it is. They know. They should have, it doesn't matter that it's not binding, Ms. Sabari. You should have reported, you had an obligation to report to the public every step of the way what is going on within the limits that we all understand. I was a council person, and I know what you could say or couldn't. You had an obligation. You did not tell the public for months what you have been doing behind closed doors. And then you want to know why the mayor has to sue to get information? You're not even telling the public what's going on. You cannot bind a council with an MOU on a subcommittee. I've had MOUs come before the council before. The police had one in 2012. We had a vote on our MOU. I recused. You still have to vote on the MOU. I've not seen anybody vote on an MOU.
We're working on things.
But you didn't...
We all are on the same...
Mayor, this is outrageous. All these people here have a right to know, and you have not for months been telling this borough what is going on. Shame on every single one of you for hiding it. You're disgusting.
So-
Memorandum of understanding.
So as the mayor, I agree with the resident. I have not had a proper update. From our affordable housing attorney and subcommittee since May 4th until this evening. And for the record, I also oppose residential housing on 800 Sylvan. Everybody knows that by now. But also, as a matter of law, I feel that we've been misguided because, yes, there was a subcommittee, just like we had in 2018, but in 2018, the subcommittee always came back to the council to get permission to go to the next step or to do anything. This subcommittee in 2019 does things differently, even though they're using the same lawyers who have now flipped.
That you picked.
This subcommittee now is out there making decisions on behalf of the borough, on behalf of the council, excluding the mayor, excluding the council. He's advising them, Marinello's advising them, Serenian's advising them, and Wunsch is advising them, and it's wrong. It shouldn't be done that way. And to make matters worse, they had the attorney, Wunsch, sign an MOU for the subcommittee. So they keep pushing it away from them because they
Is the
think...
MOU binding, Mayor? Is the MOU binding, Mayor? Yes or no?
The MOU is not binding. However,
Everybody thinks it's binding.
however, it's a slippery slope. You're acting in ultra-virus...
Everybody lies.
Council knew what was in the
You
MOU.
can't go outside of your scope of authority. You, we're all elected, okay? The subcommittee was not elected as a separate being. Okay, well, we're gonna let a judge decide.
Mayor,
Anybody else want to be heard? Yes.
point of order, Mayor. Listen, people, you need to understand that this is the problem. Everybody is getting misinformation.
We're not getting anything. We're not getting going around the...
I said, let me finish. Please,
We don't know anything.
please.
Because we're in court. We're in litigation.
Listen, people, this is the problem. We have residents that get up here and misinform the public. Excuse me, I'm speaking.
That's the
I'm speaking. So the problem is that none of none of the public is getting the proper information, getting propaganda. The subcommittee is going to recommend an information session for all of you to come, that the professionals will see, not the politicians, not the Democrats, not the Republicans, but the professionals that were appointed by this mayor and this council to come in front of all of you and speak on behalf of information only. You will be there. I pray that you all come. They will give you all the information on affordable housing, how we got here, why we're here, and all the options and the repercussions of going or not going.
You entered an MOU, I
You
think,
will all
in April.
excuse me,
No, you're lying to them.
Mayor, we will all have an opportunity to listen and get the facts, not propaganda from anyone. That is the problem right now. That's why many of you are here, because you're getting propaganda sent out that's misinformation. All I'm asking, and this council is going to ask tonight, the subcommittee is going to ask the council, and we are going to suggest that we have an information session on, what date did we make? The 18th of June, to just inform all of you. Then you can take all that information back, you can talk about it, you can discuss it, you can research it, and then we're going to have a public session with the mayor and council there, where you can come and ask questions and listen to our opinion. I think that's only fair, and I think it's the right way to do it, so we don't have any misinformation and no more propaganda spread.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
So when the smoke clears, I can actually explain to you what Councilman Aversa is saying. We will have a public information session, yes. The professionals will speak to you, yes, we hired them last year, but they turned. We did, we hired them, the council hired them. But you control them now, so they're going to inform you the way you want them to be informed, even though you're pretending it's not political. It's going to be political. And finally, I want the borough, the people here, to be able to speak. But they don't want you to have that at the next meeting. They want to have another meeting after, okay? So, in my view, is that we're going to have a meeting with the professionals. You should get to speak then also,
But the
okay?
professionals will be at the formal meeting as well.
They have all the...
You don't listen to the misinformation.
The professionals have gained this.
What's this misinformation?
They have gained the whole system this year because I don't even know what's going on. They know, but they won't tell me until we show up here. All right. Sir, you have the floor. Your name and
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Kunsikson, 315 Center Street. There was an article in Korean newspaper. Says the borough who favor to Republican has a pledge to make sure there was no more multi-affordable housing is going on. And they say, we don't want it. I am here not to speak for them. I am a swing voter, okay? I am only concerned of my life of quality in Englewood Cliffs. As Ed Everson says, we want true information. I want all my councilmen and women must be 100% honest and public open-minded. If any of you didn't perform the job, we will give you a vote coming elections. And we don't, Democrat and Republican, you guys always argue, Republican council and administration waste of $100 or $150 per housing. At the same time, vice versa. The multiple housing affordable project is a huge megaton degrees issues, okay? It's not $100 more or less, or $200 or more. Please, this is a very, very serious issues. No one can treat or make the behind-the-scene agreement. I had a property in Richfield. We had 10-acre properties. I had a meeting with city council and mayor 12 years ago looking to develop the apartment building. that administration, mayor and council told me, if you build up the senior housing apartment, we cannot give you the permit. They have already high school in Westfield. Still, they concerning our new apartment, project will increase 100 or 200 high school students. And they confessed to me, whatever you paid for the real estate tax, we gotta add on the new students. It is already school-allowed town in Westfield. Over here, we have no school. It's gonna be a huge impact. Okay, so I'm here as a just resident. I'm not here for Republican or Democrat. Okay, we want really concerned about the future, whatever development, it's gotta be open, 100%. Otherwise, instead of lawsuit, we will judge your elections. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry to take up your time. I like the informational session. I think that's going to be really good. And I just would like to say things that are kind of off topic a little bit. Number one, Bergenfield had a tragic death of a young 10-year-old riding a bicycle. Just goes into the heart. Cresskill had the same thing a couple of years ago. So I would like to appeal to this council to work with the Englewood Cliffs Board of Education and possibly with the police to institute bicycle safety training for all students. It's great that they're outside. We got to get rid of these video games and get them outside more, but we want to keep our children in Englewood Cliffs safe. When I was in Germany a couple of years ago, the school system had a trailer filled with bicycles, and they would test and give a certificate to students with a good bicycle safety training on their campus. I think it was a great thing, and I think we should do that. In addition, as far as the town sports, I would like to see a policy. I don't know if there is a policy. Everyone pays an equal amount of money for their children to participate in sports. And I also feel that there should be equal playing time for all children. This sports that we have in the town, I think, is great, but it is not about winning. It is about having fun and getting children out there playing. It's not a competition. Winning is it is how you win, and it is how you lose, and it's sportsmanship, and it's not who plays and the best plays and who sits on the bench. Everyone needs to have equal time. It's just fair and it's just ethical that we have that policy in town. There are some other things I'd like to say. I would like to say also that I think an informational session is a very good thing to have. And I also think that we would not have been in this affordable housing crisis had the previous entity been totally transparent. And the other thing that is very important is that we are all residents of Englewood Cliffs, and it doesn't mean a damn thing if you're a Republican or Democrat. It is that we are all residents. And this mayor had the great opportunity when he was elected to reach across the aisle and to gain the trust of his so-called opponents, or those that don't deserve to live in this town. I'm loosely quoting one of his sign-die speeches. And I think it would be very good and healthy mentally for the mayor to regret those speeches and to regret those divisive things that he has said as mayor, and authentically reach across the aisle, and be a mensch, basically. We're all people. Mensch means people. And being a mensch means being a good person. And we all want to be good people. We all want a community that doesn't have litter, that's great to live in. And all of this stuff, and all of this Republican, Democrat crap, and that's what it is, we are all residents of this town. We all have the single purpose that we want to have a good town. There's no way that any of you are going to be innovative and out-of-the-box thinking if you are constantly complaining and dividing and dividing. And it's unhealthy. Hey, we're going to have disagreements. However, let's discuss. Thank you very much.
So, putting aside the personal attacks without any factual basis that you just heard, I do agree about bicycle safety. And I've been approached recently by Nelson Gutierrez from Strictly Cycles, where I spend way too much money on bicycles, to do something with our students here in town. So I will actually speak to him and to the school about creating a bicycle safety program and maybe a fun ride of sorts for children. And if anybody else is interested, maybe we'll expand it. Yeah, so when you come up here, personal attacks are, they demean yourself as a speaker. So, Mr. DiGregorio, take that to heart. Anybody else looking to be heard? Yes, in the back.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Russell Polino, 220 Fairview Avenue. I'd like to take a couple moments just to respond to some of the commentary back and forth here about the affordable housing. And I'm not sure what misinformation has been propagated. I haven't seen anything that I think is misinformation delivered to my doorstep yet. I think when I sat in a similar position to that of Ursa and Gloria and Ms. Sabari, with regard to the minute by minute, day by day, week by week, and I appreciate the amount of effort that goes into this process. What I do feel, and I know I've less knowledge than anybody else probably than the residents or anyone else. The fact that this memorandum was entered into back in April, and it's a public document that was filed with the court, and at least this letter referring to the memorandum, and that someone didn't feel it necessary to share that with the public. It's one thing to have an informational session when the decisions have virtually been made, except for signing the final document, right? It's about, if I may finish, please. Clearly, if there's a memorandum of understanding, what that means is it's a preliminary sketch framework of an agreement that would at some point be improved upon, clarified, expanded, potentially changed. But if that's where this committee was, it seems to me it was an appropriate time to at least invite the public for an informational setting and say, hey, you know what, we think here's where we need to go, and here's why, right? I think it's fair to view this council's process from January to today, where things are held back, even sometimes at the caucus meetings when all of a sudden these documents are pulled out of people's handbags and resolutions are now put on the table. That's not the way government should work, right? It should involve everybody else. In January, the planning board adopted a housing element plan that an incredible amount of time was spent on creating. It wasn't just a plan of how we're going to solve the problems, it's, where are we now? What's the vacant land adjustment, et cetera, et cetera. It's a very complicated process to get to there. And this governing body, these members, voted also to endorse that same plan, right? So if there's a point in time where your support of that plan has changed, it seems to me it was at a reasonable time to say, hey, we'll have an informational setting. We think we need to readjust things and then move forward. And again, this is not what I haven't seen the agreement, so I have no idea what it says, but I would suspect, based upon my knowledge of what the plan was before, and if there's a memorandum out there now involving fair share, 800 Sylvan, and the borough, it involves probably some kind of a settlement, okay? So be it. That's your decision to make. But you should at least be hearing from the residents before you've gotten to the point where you've done everything but sign the document. I'm not saying you're there, but it sounds like you're getting close to there, right? Because 2 months have gone by since this memorandum was evidently, at least 2 months. All I have is basically this filing with the court, right? I don't know what else is there. I'm chairman of the planning board. There are people in Hackensack or anywhere in New Jersey that know more about the status of this than I do. You know, there was a subcommittee that was created with 3 people on it, and one line was added that the planning board chair would be invited for the public, so they all know, and just to clarify it, I haven't gotten one phone call, I haven't been invited to one meeting throughout. So if we're being transparent, and if I'm chair of the planning board, it seemed like it would be reasonable for there to be at least a dialogue. I think I've been known to be trustworthy and to do the right thing for the borough. So, you know, the fact that you're obstructing someone who was appointed by Mayor Kranjak, I think is less than transparent, because you came in January without the benefit of what we all learned. And then Karen McMorrow, myself, and Mario learned a lot about the process. And you all had to jump in, you know, hair on fire, trying to understand what had happened. It could have taken a 30-minute meeting once. Here's where we are. Here's what our strategy is. You disagree, you run with it now. But I would have really liked the opportunity to have had the ability to at least share with you what we had. And we are the folks that have, the residents, all of us here, are the ones that have, you know, much to gain and much to lose, right? So the professionals are here, they'll move on to the next town after they're done with Underwood Cliffs. And I respect the individuals that we hired, right? I have no problem with them. But you need to hear from the caretakers, the ones that were working on this thing for more than a year. So I have to take issue with the lack of transparency. I'm going to call it that. I think it could have been done. And in April, if that's when this memorandum was being generated and signed off on by whomever, there should have been a meeting at that point called and say, hey, here's where we are, folks. Whether you did it in a newsletter or you called the public in, I think that's what should have happened.
Well, you couldn't do that. And I'd like to know, how many meetings did you have with the public before you endorsed your plan? Actually, it was one, and it wasn't even publicly put out there for the residents to come out and speak on it. You had no informational sessions to educate our public on our affordable housing issues. As a matter of fact, I was a resident at the time, and prior, years ago, I requested to be part of the Affordable Housing Committee, so that potentially maybe I could help. And this was before Normandy. I was turned down and said that we had it all under control. So, as far as transparency and educating the public, you did not do that either. And I understand you didn't do it because you were advised, the same like we were advised, that we were not to do that. So it really is not about this committee or this council. It's about the professionals that were hired by the previous council who had told us that we could not come public. It was not until now when we went to our professionals and said, enough. We have to stop the false information that's out there. So we've agreed that we're going to do an informational session for the public, only because we've gotten the approval to go ahead and do that from our attorneys. You know strategically that you cannot play all your cards
Of course.
to the public. What we are doing is we were waiting to have an agreement that potentially the public would hear and either sign on or not sign on, but that we believe is the best thing that we can do. That's what we're trying to do here. We're as transparent as we can be. When I campaigned, I said I would do my best to try to convince them to stay corporate, even though the planning board turned down their application. I've never thrown that at you, but for you to come up here and insinuate that we're keeping things from the public when you never had a public meeting is totally ridiculous.
So Mr. Perino, I thank you for your great leadership of the planning board, and what Ms. Sabari failed to mention to everyone is that your committee never signed an MOU. Your committee did.
False narrative.
Good evening, everybody. David Ambasson, 33 Baby Avenue. We're in the process of moving, but it still bothers me what's going on about the police department. I know this borough retired one of them, the chiefs, which is had the disgraceful things going on. Talks about the women, downgrades women, and we have, by looking at my son's class and my daughter's, I think there was over 50% Koreans living in this town, over 50%. And to some of the officers making fun of their dialect and Korean people, doesn't matter what nationality, maybe they're even making fun of me. I want to let you know that all these Koreans, Russians, Jews, Italians, they have already better IQ. The reason is they already have more than one language, English. So I think you should look at every candidate you have for the chief of police, and I think that candidate is supposed to be superb, clean cut, and well educated, and not democratic. I hope none of them, you, all of them, or they, or you guys owe people of Englewood Cliffs, not police unit, not the police chief, us, residents of Englewood Cliffs. I hope you do that job beautifully. This is what the police unit's supposed to be together, not for Democrats, not for Republicans, they for people. People the one who pays for them. Not Democrats, not Republicans. People of Englewood Cliffs. Thank you.
So for anyone standing, there's about 4 chairs of seats up here, 3 on my left and 1 on my right. So feel free to just come in and sit down if you want to. And also, because it's a fire hazard, I can't have the doorway blocked. Yes.
Andrew Nickow, 54 Elm Street. I just want to reiterate something that I had mentioned in the previous meeting. I hear a lot of accusations being made against police officers in this town, and I just want to stress, like I said at the previous meeting, that these are accusations. The officers have not had their full due process. They have not had a chance to respond to allegations, and the people making the allegations may have an ulterior motive or financial benefit from labeling these officers as they've done publicly. So there are a lot of people from the public here, many guests of the Englewood Cliffs Republican organization here. Welcome. I would just like to remind the audience and let everybody know that every applicant, every person is entitled to a due process. And right now, everything that's been said in publications, misinformation, has all been accusations. No one has been proven, found guilty, or anything to that matter. And everything that you hear is an accusation. And I request the public use their judgment to evaluate who's telling them these accusations and what motive, either financially or whatever, they may have to discredit some of our officers who do an excellent job and who care deeply about this community. Thank you.
Tony Morpez's 26 John Street. I'd like to address, number one, what you say about the bicycles and the children. I think you should all look at the traffic patterns in Englewood Cliffs. and that everybody goes up Floyd, John, Dillingham, any street at 40, 45 miles an hour. And one day, they're not going to only kill somebody on a bike, they're going to kill a woman with a dog or a kid walking the street. I think we should have speed bumps, if that's what it takes, and I hate them, but if that's what it takes, because you don't have enough police, then let's do it. Let's save a person. That's number one. Number two, you're talking about signs. I had a billboard next door to me, which I didn't care. There was a billboard, Republican, Democrat, it didn't make a difference. I think it's wrong, and only because it's an eye catcher that's not nice. It's not appealing to somebody who lives next to it. And it's not necessary. And forget Ed Adversa owning a commercial building, because nobody says they can't put billboards on commercial buildings, and Ed only owns one out of maybe 200 in Englewood Cliffs. But everybody should have the same size sign on their property, if that's what they want to put. Republican, Democrat, Independent, idiot, whatever. Doesn't make a difference. Okay? Number three, we're talking about housing. Every town is getting whacked by the same judge, and is getting whacked heavy. And everybody has an opinion, and rightfully so. But understand something. I don't think anybody in this town is capable of us building, knocking down this building, knocking down the Lions Club, building on the other side. Nobody's capable of doing things. We pay lawyers a lot of money. We paid over $30,000, $40,000 for an engineer to tell me that the sewers are 50 years old or 60 years old, and I need to do a rehabilitation on the south side of town. The buildings department doesn't do anything to follow up on maintenance. Signs are all over the town, 9W up and down. We look like the Route 46. The bank has signs, the delis have signs. Any place you go, everybody puts up signs. You don't want it? Change the ordinance. Let them put up signs. But let's not be hypocrites. Don't pull one guy and not the other guy. Don't tell one guy he has to take down a sign and let 5 others up. It's wrong. The planning board, the planning board or whatever where Russ is on, they turn around and they say you can't put up lights, you can't do this, you can't do that. Which is great. And they kill themselves doing it. You have nobody to enforce it. Nobody even knows what they're not allowed to do. I happen to know on 7 occasions, because I come to the meetings, and I can tell you where they're not doing it. That's not my business. You're paying somebody $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year out of my taxpayer money. For what? And you're all arguing. And you're sitting on ceremony. Oh, my professional, I hired him. Ed Adversa and the Democrats voted with you folks to settle a lawsuit on the Mueller case. Now it's being opened up again. And I was against it, because they don't do it. I didn't care. Ed's idea was, enough of these lawsuits. We want to settle them. You never settle, because it never works out that way with things like that. We're back to square one. Everybody's worried about Oprah. They're suing our town. Everybody. Boom, boom, boom. For what? What is it, making them wiser? They're going to get it 1 week later? 10 days later? Going to change the world? But nobody cares, because it's a piggy bank. And there's a quid pro quo. I tell you, wake up, guys. You're killing this town. You're making it a circus. Thank you.
Um, 22 Sarah Hill Lane, Angela Chen. I just have questions on the session, the public session. So if you guys are going to give all the information, I hope one thing has to be addressed is the impact of what the deal will be on the borough, right? So what will be the impact on the tax? What will be the impact on the school system? Everything I want it to be thoroughly thought. So nothing like, don't play games. I don't want that. I just want everybody can see what will be the impact to the borough. And if we don't do this, and if we go that way, what is the impact? Give us some numbers. We're all smart people living in this town. We can see that. So if you guys giving us this information, I hope all the numbers will be presented.
And it's from the professionals. In other words, it's not going to be Republican or Democrat. It's the architect, it's the attorney, it's Bob Powell is the research guy. He knows the impact on the school children. So it won't be us. It'll be them talking.
Okay.
Well, let's be clear, though. Are you going to have the professionals actually give the current situation, or just an overview of affordable housing?
All of the situation.
So you're going to have the actual
2 meetings,
MOU being discussed?
not the first meeting.
You're not going to do that. So what's the point?
Because then you'll know what affordable housing is about.
And you'll understand how
This
we got...
weekend, I got multiple
Why
calls
are you so
from...
against
Yeah,
people having information?
No, I want them to have, I'm the one who wants them to have all the information.
This weekend,
No, no.
I got multiple calls about people telling me, someone's coming at my house, they're knocking at my door and telling me that 400 affordable housing units are going to be built at 800 Sylvan. And I'm like, where are you getting this information from? Who is knocking at your door and telling you that?
But if you don't give us this information, how do we know the impact?
That's why...
I agree with you.
Yes.
If you're going to have the residents come out to just learn about affordable housing, that's not going to work. They need to learn, hold on, let me finish. No, let me finish. They need to know the details of whatever you all been working on for the last 6 months, otherwise it's useless. Okay?
Right, and then I just want to also tell you that no decisions have been made, nothing's been signed, nothing is binding. All we're doing is taking information from the professionals and thinking about it, right? And so...
And this whole council
That's right.
knows exactly what's in there.
That's right.
The whole council.
So, there will be meetings, we'll call everybody out, everybody come, listen, ask questions, right? Not the first meeting, the second meeting, right? But you'll know basically what the foundation of our research is, and why we're going to recommend X or Y.
So when is the first meeting and when is the second meeting? Would you please,
So the first meeting is in June 18th, which is Tuesday at 7. We just need to confirm with the school that it's
Try to have that
available.
okay.
And the second meeting will depend on how the negotiations go on Friday, because there are some things that are still up in the air. So we can't talk about the final agreement on what we would recommend until we know for sure that we're not going to court. Because if the MOU is not lived up to, and what's in it is not lived up to in the final agreement, then we will not be settling, and we will wind up in court. So we can't speak about something until we're sure that we can offer that to the public and say that this is what we recommend. We can't recommend something unless we know that the other side is going to be on board.
So the time of the second meeting is not determined, or?
We will determine it after the meeting.
Okay. The other thing I want to ask is, say we got the public information, and then how you guys know what public really know? Is there going to be a vote? Or is there going to be, like, how you guys know what we really
To
want?
answer your question, you will come to the second meeting.
Mm-hmm.
The public is more than welcome to come. You will voice your concerns, your opinions. You may like it, you may not like it, but you will voice the concerns to the entire council, and we will decide, after listening to everyone, what we choose to do.
So Ms. Chang, the council
Will determine.
at another meeting.
Got it.
So we're not rushing. We want people to have all the information, the whole process needs to be...
And it's very complicated issues. It's not like black and white. It's not just, we don't want residential housing on 800 Sylvan. Of course nobody wants that. But, we're in a situation and we're trying our best to look at all the research and make a decision, and no decision has been made yet. And everybody's saying all these things in town, saying, oh, you guys are, the Dems are doing this and the Dems are doing that. We haven't done anything. So please, just come to the meeting, and then the next time...
And for people who, everybody's busy, and for people who cannot physically be there, is there any other channels for people to address our concerns and everything?
First meeting or second meeting?
The second meeting after you guys just...
We'll try to give more advance announcement than this one, and this one, I'm gonna see if we can maybe have it videotaped. We're not gonna be speaking, it's just gonna be the professional informational.
Okay.
Right, so the second one, we'll try to give you more time, so, Councilman Moore actually made a good suggestion, which is to, schedule the second meeting as soon as possible, but we can't do that until after Friday, so. we'll know-
Next Friday?
This Friday.
This Friday.
This Friday.
Okay.
Personally, I think, given that the MOU reflects a significant shift in strategy, I think the town, having two meetings, number one, is something I think all of us are on board with. But I think sharing the framework of the MOU is something I'd like to ask the council. It's non-binding. It's a non-binding MOU. So,
Honestly, you two know the same closed sessions as I do. You know just as well as I do that the attorneys have recommended that we not do that.
I'm asking for the attorney to reconsider that, so our residents have more time to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because that resident earlier, he just said, this is the biggest issue our town is facing. I think giving our town residents a little bit more time to actually digest the information it can only be good for us.
I hope you will. Okay? When I said to you that it was myself and the committee that went to the attorneys and said that enough was enough, that we could no longer accept their opinion, that we could not go out to the public. And this was their suggestion, that we start with this, and then very shortly thereafter, we should be able to go out with the...
So I think we can dig deeper with the attorney, I mean, we can't accept that, and just say, I think this is not political. I'm not being political.
Let me just say this. The reason why is it's about face all of a sudden that, hold on. You want to inform the public now because I actually sued last week to get the information myself. But then, let me ask a question. Councilwoman McMorro, is the MOU on e-courts?
It's not public.
All right, so the document is public. The document is public. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be talking about it as a public document.
This is a problem, Alex.
And then the other thing is, hold on, I have the floor right now. No, you're saying that, but you're not meaning that. I actually want them to have the information. I sued for it.
You want whatever information you want.
When you
had all the information. You had all the information. The council knew everything. Okay, so...
You went out with a plan and you shared zero.
But here's the thing. What everyone should understand is...
That
the
plan
expression
clearly
is... You
said
have to
that you
stop.
went out to the public and you did not.
Here's the thing. I've always opposed residential housing in Huntsville. Okay? And I always said, I'd rather have a judge order me to do something stupid than agree to it myself. So what we said, we have... You're howling at the moon. No, hold on. So let me finish. I believe in home rule. And even though affordable housing is a law that I don't like, we have to comply with it. So I said, so what we did in 2018 was we developed a plan to comply with it ourselves. So instead of having somebody build X hundred number of units, we had a plan to build the amount of units that we needed to build.
No.
here on Hudson Terrace. That was the plan.
That was the plan.
And then-
That's what really-
then you guys came over.
Saying that was the plan.
And
Everybody
it's a
agreed
very,
to that, right?
hold on, it's a very slippery slope.
Right.
You signed an MOU that opened the door
no
for residential housing on 800 Sylvan.
Right.
That's on you, okay? I oppose that. I oppose that every meeting. But that, you did that, okay? And now you have to own it. We had a
You
plan.
got us into this.
Your plan was no longer
Listen,
viable.
when Mount Laurel started, I was 9 years old, 11 years old. That's it. I didn't get into this.
Anyway, yeah, I hope everything really needs to be public to us, and let us know the details, everything, and we will, as everybody here will evaluate, and hope, I really hope, I moved here a couple of years.
Ever, so
Yeah.
I really just affects, I know everyone, it also affects me too. So, I hope everybody understands that, as David said, that we're all residents, yes, we're on council, but we live here too, so we're trying to do our best, so, please.
And if you notice, the housing price of the town has coming down. And inventory is moving really, really slow. I think, and there's a lot of rumors in other towns about us, and talking about how we're going to build 800 Sylvan, how the towns are going to be merged to other towns, all sorts of rumors. Everybody's spreading rumor about us. That's why our housing price has come down. So, please, every councilman, councilwoman, when you guys do something, please keep our interests the first. That's all I want to say. Yeah, thank you.
Good evening. Mark Park, 86th Street. I want to make clear about it. Everybody talking about the MOU, you did it or not. Maybe she has a e-filing copy, I don't know, but we don't have time at this time. I will tell you about my side story. Actually, last week, about Tuesday, about 16 Korean people get together, and we worry about our town, the multiple apartment put on 800 Sylvan Avenue. That is a chaos to us. So we made a decision. We're going to spread out this petition because we are strongly against about the put on apartment 800 Sylvan Avenue. I just, spread out for this point to the public. Tonight, so far, about 300 people already signed up. That means everybody don't agree put on the apartment 800 Sylvan Avenue. Are you sure about it? You already agree about that? So, I have let me finish about it. Okay, let me finish about it.
Let the residents speak, please.
Let me finish about it. I have a form here. Anybody interested to sign up here? My goal is I'm going to get the more people to sign up this petition. This is not a political matter. We are bottom line. We don't like to put on the 800 Sylvan Avenue multiple apartment unit. That's the bottom line. So, okay. Okay. No, okay. No. That's your opinion, okay? Yes, please. Last year we already, got the beautiful idea here, put on the pure affordable housing apartment unit. Why you just totally, you agree with last year, right? Why you can leave it there? Why you change your mind? You change your mind. Everybody agreed last year. Why? Democratic Party controls it this time? Democratic Party controls this time, you change your mind. You guys agreed about it, right? Oh, no, please. And then I'm going to ask you about each, this is my portion, okay? No.
Let the residents...
No. Okay, this is my portion, okay?
And for the council, please don't yell at residents, please.
Yeah. So, bottom line, which one is the best way? Bottom line, we don't worry about the multiple apartment unit over there. So still, I'm going to try to, this is majority Korean and Chinese. I'm going to spread out this form to the public, the community also. So, I don't want to spend valuable time. Please consider about any one more thing. Next week, or this week, or next week, Friday or Tuesday, you have a program ready, right? Next Tuesday. Please, give us more time, 1 week more, because we're going to get more people to be involved in here. We're going to finish the public. We're going to have time. At least 2 weeks, give us 2 weeks of time late. And then we're going to all time and make the signature, and then we're going to come back, okay? That's what I really wanted. Thank you so much.
Why don't the council go...
Let's say, of $5,000 every year.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me just ask the... Come on, guys. Let me just ask the council. So, will the council please consider rolling out that day a week? Because it's kind of short notice.
Well, but what I want everybody to understand is that if it was as easy as going out and getting signatures...
My name is Michael Kim, 275 Marietta Street, Inglewood Creek. Anyway, nobody wants multi-commercial building, affordable housing at 807 Avenue. No resident wants that the developer come over here. Last the January 24, Democrat and Republican approved for 57 units located nearby Hudson Terrace. Yeah, they already, you guys already approved 57 affordable housing only, not the multi-commercial building. But right now, you change your plan. From that, you will regard that 57 units, and then you want to change it to 800. I don't know what kind of interest you guys. I don't know. Why are you going to change it? I want to keep 57 units of affordable housing nearby city building. This is all our residents want. If they come, that affects all our residents. Our value of properties come down, and the tax must be double of the present tax. And then, right now, 60 houses on the market in Inglewood Creek because of that rumor. 60 houses. 60 houses on the market now. You understand? Including Gloria O. And Democrats.
We're here to defend herself, so
the constitutional obligation since 1985. During last 42 years, the Democrat government, they didn't do nothing about the affordable housing. Right now, the Republican government, they try to benefit our residents, but you guys try to change from the 57 unit to 800 still already. I don't know why. You are elected by residents. You have to work for the residents only, not for somebody else, not for interested organization. You got to work for the people of the residents. This is big people, the big problem. If they come in here, big problem. You have to check online how many houses on the market right now in Inglewood Creek. 60 houses. 60 houses, including Gloria O. Who is Don't try make any interest good only. You have to work. You are elected by our resident, so you have to work our interest. Yeah, for our interest, not somebody else. Yeah, that's all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just the one question, is that possible? Just who's the attorney that said, don't disclose the information?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do business with that person.
Who was it? Well, you know who was, you fired him.
Iranian, Wunsch, and I guess, did you say that also?
I don't have anything to do with that case.
I see you on the email.
Oh, man,
so I'm
stop.
not-
Yeah, come on. You haven't done this, tell us your area, so let's not talk about that.
So this is exactly why an information session would be very helpful. Mr. Park, I expect you to know a little bit more, but obviously...
Please don't insult the residents.
That's what secrecy breeds.
There are reasons that 57 minutes doesn't work. Hence, the information session. People get up and speak, everybody's entitled to their opinion, we understand that. We all understand you get information and you think that's the final information that you have. And it's not, just like we don't have any definitive answer right now because we may change our mind too. Mr. McMorrow, you call the lawyer every meeting.
Let's stay to the subject matter, everybody. And don't yell at residents.
Karen Geiger, 270 Alfred. It seems that this town needs information, and we need it badly. We need information about what's been going on in the last 4 years, not just this year. And Carol, please, I didn't cut you off. Don't cut me off. Carol, at least I've lived here 40 years. You haven't. So let's go on. 40 years ago, yes, the Democrats did not build affordable housing in Englewood Cliffs. That is a fact. The reason why the Democrats did not build affordable housing in Englewood Cliffs is that we did not have vacant land. The affordable housing... Excuse me. Vacant land...
Mr. Luciano, please don't take form. You can't be speaking.
Vacant land in affordable housing is land of a certain size that's available to build. The last time that the Council on Affordable Housing looked at Englewood Cliffs was 1997. And they came here for a site visit. And they came here because we had submitted a plan to them that they were about to approve for 9 units of affordable housing in Englewood Cliffs. And then they saw the site that is now being built on by LG. And at that time, it was occupied by Prentice Hall, who had left. And they wanted that site for affordable housing, and the Democrats said no. That's what happened. And now we have LG going up on that site. We have a commercial site there, not affordable housing. So look around you, people. I live in this town 40 years. I've seen multiple sites designated. I've seen multiple plans. They run from 4 houses to 9 houses in affordable housing need. And that's what it's been since 1980 when I've been in this town. It never exceeded 9 units, except for the designation, which COA wanted, of the LG site. And what happened is the Democrats said no. COA said we had to designate it for affordable housing, and we lost our immunity. But guess what?
we got another tenant in, and it stayed corporate. And even though we lost our immunity, no one came here to build affordable housing until this planning board in November of 2017 turned down Normandy. And Normandy retaliated, and I'll use that word, they retaliated. And they said, if we can't build corporate the way we want to build corporate at 800 Sylvan, we're going to join with the Fair Share Housing Center and build residential there. And that's what we've been involved in, because they offered up 20 of their 28 acres for affordable housing, and all of a sudden, we had vacant and available land according to the New Jersey state way of viewing what we had available for affordable housing. And as far as transparency, people, I'm sorry, I've been going to these meetings for over...
Face the front, shut up.
Carol, please don't interrupt me. I'll tell the council. We have been, excuse me. I have been attending council meetings for over 5 years because I started attending them with LG to try and get the height down. And I can tell you that when I went to court, because I went to court with Normandy against the planning board because I wanted corporate on that site. Spent my own money. So let's go on. And in December, when I was in court, because I followed court documents at the time, I learned that this council, the prior council, had an affordable housing plan that was due in court on the 10th of December. And they were given a 3-day or a 2-day extension to get it in. Until that time, I did not know, and I went to every single meeting, that there was an affordable housing plan under consideration by this mayor and council. And the plan, which was ultimately made public, had on that plan had been discussed and approved by the public, and we heard nothing about it.
Okay, I really, whenever this guy gets up here, you can't do that. You can't yell from there. No, you can't. No, you can't. You shouldn't do that. Be respectful, will you? So whenever Ms. Geiger gets up and speaks... Come on, people, you can't behave that way. Really. All right, look, when Ms. Geiger speaks, don't forget, she's on the side of Normandy in this litigation. That's all you need to know. She sued with Normandy, as she just said. Anybody else? Folks, there's some seats up front here.
Ramon Ferro, 14 Raymond Street. What you just mentioned about the LG property, that was never under court. In 1997, I was sitting on the council, and we had a location for the court, which that location is where the Lion Club and the tennis courts are. So everything that she just mentioned regarding the LG, she doesn't know anything about it. All right?
Democrats should have built on that. You got canceled. You should have built it years ago.
So, anybody else before we close this?
My name is Ken Bowman. I live at 178 Middlesex Avenue. Ken Bohan, 178 Middlesex Avenue. I've come here, usually I get flyers in the mail from one affiliation and another. I don't know. I really don't. I came here with the thought of perhaps I'm going to find out something what's really going on within the town. And what I'm hearing, all the minutia, you have a memorandum of understanding which hasn't been memorialized, I don't know what it is, but I think the only thing I see here is a total division. Nothing is going to get done here or resolved with any resolutions with all the infighting. You know, I read the papers, and it sounds like it's like a wild west party up here. I had to come here to find out what is really going on. There is too much division within this city, this town. It's a good town. When you get your fact-finding information, when you get that date, which I would like to get some written notification, I would really appreciate that, and then we can more or less summarize, get an idea what direction we're going in. And then we can make some valid decisions, and without all this, as I said, the minutia, the rhetoric. I have no affiliation with any political situation here. I don't know anybody here. I know Teddy. Teddy, I worked with him. We're former truck drivers. I was up in the union. I was the secretary-treasurer. I hear things, not to deviate, about these agreements with some, again, I don't know anybody. Don't take offense to this. I'm a union guy all my life. When I hear these contracts, that these things are getting $400,000 because they didn't take any sick time, didn't take any vacation, didn't take any holidays. That's crazy. That's crazy. You're paying... I don't need applause. I don't want applause. All I want to go forward. Don't pay somebody at today's rate for 30 years ago. If you don't take a vacation, you don't take a sick time, or any holidays, you either use it or lose it. Very simple. Again, you know, the contracts I've negotiated, I would go there and say, listen, my people want this, well, the sick time that you have, you don't use. The vacation you have, you don't use. Who's the negotiator? You know what that tells me? Well, people don't need it. Again, not to be weird, please, give me written notification, and I think you gotta get your act together. There's too much division between here. Really. Forget the politics. Forget it. We do what's best for the members, excuse me, my unionism. The residents, what's good for this town. That's all I want. Again, thank you, and good night. I'm not staying anymore. It's a waste of time.
Is there anybody else in the public who wishes to be heard? Okay, have a motion.
I need to speak about what my situation. I didn't know. I was speaking about housing versus...
Anything you wish.
Okay, great.
Okay, Francis Queso, I reside at 17 West Bayview Ave, Englewood Cliffs. Okay, so, again, like the gentleman just said, yes, there's like a lot of division, and it looks like it's always about like politics and stuff. Again, I think it's about disrespect. We all need to respect each other over here. Last week, I just went, me and my daughter, I brought her to a 25th school reunion. It was out in Totowa. I was coming back, I just wanted to come back home, and as life would have it, there's a baby deer in the middle of the street over there, in the middle of the ramp. The mother got whacked all the way on the other side of Route 80, which would be westbound, because it was getting on the ramp that was eastbound and stuff. Went there, picked it up, get it out of the way. Already then, I had 4 cars behind my car, okay? So, the little baby would have been dead. So, it's an empathy thing. It's a creature, I'm the type of person that if I see something, I try to fix it, correct it, get involved, right? Sometimes when you try to go do, the right thing, I've seen that it works against you. I get home, deer's basically at a sanctuary where they know how to do about deers the whole entire time. What was going through my head even touching it and picking it up. It's like, am I gonna get a tick on me or something? Because last year, my dog, I don't let any of my dogs out of my house. They all go on wheelie pads, okay, except the German Shepherd, because that's like way too big. 3 spin mops like going and married. It's a lot. And my fence still hasn't been put up yet. So that's a whole other story within it itself, right? I get the Englewood Cliffs cops on a Saturday. Now here's storytelling for you, right? They tell me, right, that on a Saturday, which is a little bizarre, right, that the Bergen County prosecutor called them up because I'm harboring a deer. And that somebody called them up and that I take wildlife out of the wild and I harbor it into my house. Okay? So, again, I wasn't in my house at 17 West Bayview, me nor my daughter, right? But I'm fully equipped with all cameras and Ring and so on and so forth, and my phone was going crazy. So, they called my mother. They didn't even call me. My mother, which she lives right around the block, I mean, it's her house, she comes over, and she's addressing the 2 officers, basically, on what the situation was, all right? First, they asked her, all right, but why does your daughter have so many cameras over here and stuff? It's like, well, you know what? My daughter got the cameras and stuff like that because, number one, of the false accusations and stuff that we had to, like, deal with a couple of, like, years ago and stuff. So, but I already put the cameras in 2006. Because after that PNC, the 2 guys from the Bronx or whatever, that supposedly they were check washing or bank robbery or whatever, and they ran on Van Nostrand, and I saw them jump over like the fence, and I called it in as a non-emergency, asking if somebody's like looking for somebody. And then 4 months like after that, there was an incident with an Asian woman off of Myrtle Avenue that she was like jogging. A guy came behind her, tried to submit her down and force her. And I was smoking a cigarette in front of my house, talking to my then friend Alex Cohen, which he lives up in Alpine. Okay, I'm like, Alex, hey, what type of cameras like you got, whatever, by like the gate and stuff like that? And I heard that woman scream. And the guy's covering his face, white shirt, walking down. I was the only person that even witnessed him. The next day, Murphy and another regular police officer come to my house asking me if I could identify the guy, more or less. I'm like, yeah, I could. I go, but his face was covered inside his shirt, walking all down like on the sidewalk and stuff. So, you know, it's things like this, right? I don't know what's going on with like the police department. You know, I always respected like law enforcement. Going back to Saturday morning, when I picked this deer up, all right, and I was in transit with it, I ran out of gas. Yeah, I ran out of gas. State police came and like rescued me, okay, like out of the situation. Now this is the state. State knew I had a deer, a kid in the car, the whole entire thing. Like, people need to get their facts, like, straight before basically they accuse people, jump to conclusion, start storytelling, I mean, manifest it, and the whole other thing. I mean, that's basically what I gotta say. Everything else should be able to figure out. Thank you.
I don't see any other hands. Anybody else wish to speak? Let's have a motion to close. All in favor? Could I have a motion to adjourn the caucus meeting? So all in favor? To the public, give us 5 minutes to get up on the dais and start the regular meeting. Thank you.